We're a little
Oh
late.
God, please free me.
We're a little late, but the Manosphere document that is now on Netflix at this point.
Yeah.
Um, I yeah, I tried to give the homie a couple weeks notice, but you took it in all at once. So what was your thoughts?
No, I think that there was nothing in that documentary that was revolutionary to me. It was just what I suspected. People taking up a rhetoric for protection of, like, shielding, like you said, from traumas and stuff like that, and making sure they never be a part of a certain socioeconomic status again, a certain type of weakness. When you have stuff like violence in the home, stuff like that, you always see people who get stronger because, never am I ever not going to be able to protect my mom again, or never am I going to be broke again, or have to, eat out of the trash again, or whatever the trauma may be. We see this quite often happen, where people will take on a certain rhetoric as a protection from prior traumas and the way that they may have lived. There's, situations or family violence or whatever that have you. And then also just the acknowledgement of that, like many people do, you get lost in the sauce of the validation for clicks and likes and views and this and that, and you don't know how far off the deep end sometimes you can go into it, because people want more. The viewers always want more. They want more. They want more. They want more, and you get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the bag. But I think at the end of the day, with a lot of the rhetoric that was those podcasts were known for, like most of them were saying, they're doing it for money. But it's a kind of a, is it a predatory thing to prey on what we say in quotations, the weak or feeble-minded, or the people who are in these health situations that you used to be in, and now you're, making money off of the people who come from the backgrounds that you're running away from? Yeah, but so goes the world. A couple of them are saying, like, this is a part of making, the money, the type of less, giving them the lifestyle that they want. And it's honestly true. Everybody knows in order to be a millionaire, a billionaire, you kind of have to be an asshole. You have to kind of have a little bit of your humility and humanity tucked to the side, because you are going to have to probably not care about certain things enough in order to make that money. You know what I mean? Somebody's going to not have insurance in your company, or, you're going to hire 500 people to work part-time and never get them to full-time because you ain't paying all that for that and damn insurance. Whatever it is that that wealthy people do, there are many things that they have to overlook in order to get to those statuses of having a lot of money. And
Yeah.
we know there's so much people will do for the dollar.
Yeah, I do think it boils down to money, and I think the thing that hit me the most is that, yeah, they had a lot of fans and stuff, but what hit me the most is that there was a lot of people that weren't American. And that might have been my own bias against America, but I was like, dang, like there's people
America
from all
really
over
owns the
that.
international media realm when it
Yeah,
comes to like
it was
TV and
people,
movies and podcasts and stuff. A lot of people tune into what's going on over here.
and it's a lot of fans of these people. Cause like I never heard any of these people, and I guess we need to make that clear. Abrisha never heard none of these people. Like
No,
we didn't
yeah,
know
I didn't know any of them.
we didn't know who they was, but they had fans running up to them.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, I can't believe these people are from all over the world. They not just American white dudes. They people from all, now to be fair, is white dudes all over the world, but and some brown people. But I'm just like, I can't believe this is spread outside of America. That was the first thing that hit me.
Hmm. I think, I think the thing that I don't think anything necessarily hit me, because I had this trope discovery, my epiphany with this trope happened on the dance scene. When I fell in love with like dance hall and stuff like that from Jamaica, and you start to watch their competitions and stuff, you see their international competitions. Especially back in the early 2000s, you see this trend of like a lot of Japanese competitors. I'm like, they do dance hall in Japan? You know, you see a lot of like random Ukrainian competitors. You're like, Ukraine? Russia? You know, and I think that was my first like taste of like these smaller international communities taking a hold of something that you would never expect them to be doing over in like Russia or Japan. And that was way back when I was, you know, younger, upper middle school, high school, where I was like, oh shit, okay, there's you know, this felt like a really niche thing or an American continental thing to me. But okay, apparently over in Russia they get down with the dance hall. Apparently, you know, Ukraine, Japan, Australia, they get down with this too. And you know, they're coming over here and training in Jamaica and competing and all type of shit. So I did understand how media could be American media spreads globally in that manner, because surprisingly there are just a lot of nations who don't have the funds to have consistent TV and television and, you know, shows running. So there are a lot of international, they have TVs and stuff, but they just don't have like consistent shows running all day like we do over here, you know, especially back then. So a lot of these people will be satelliting and watching our shit, you know what I mean? Our movies and stuff like that. My husband often talks about how when he was young over in Ethiopia, it would be like one guy in the neighborhood who had a TV, and he would charge people $1 or something, a little burr, and everybody would come. All the neighborhood kids would sell their, you know, soda pops or whatever they had to do to get that dollar. They all come and watch kung fu movies and watch all of our action and Chuck Norris movies and stuff like. I'm not thinking nobody in Ethiopia is watching no Chuck Norris movies, you know what I'm saying? But they were. Right. So I think, yeah, my realization of like the reach of American media to like smaller international communities, I recognize that pretty early. My not big shock, but I knew it was coming, was for the women featured in the documentary. All I knew they needed to just hear one person for it to click. And that's, you know, I already knew there was going to be breakups. I already knew there was going to be some reflections on life for the women folk that was featured. Like I already knew they needed to hear one little comment and it was going to click like, wait a minute.
I was surprised by that though. So you saw that. I'm not to say that
I saw it coming.
Not to say that I wouldn't say a straw was gonna break the camel's back, but I didn't think a lot of this documentary, I didn't think they would even give people access to even start that conversation, but
right,
they gave a lot of access.
A couple of times he snuck and had them conversations, or you saw the imminent fear of even having, because, you know, at the end of the day, this rhetoric and this ideology and this personality is how they make their money. People, you know, everybody knows that their reality can bust that bubble, you know, real quick, fast, in a hurry. And so I understand why they were all guarded about like their wives or girlfriends or whoever talking, because it was like, you know, you're gonna bust my money bag, you know, this stuff is just for play, right. You know. Right. But what I did know, what I do understand about women and relationships has been proven time and time again in many of my family studies and stuff like that. Women have a heightened tendency to stay in relationships longer because they believe in the picture or keeping the picture. You know what I mean? They can acknowledge that they're belittling themselves, or they can acknowledge that they're a lesser version of themselves, or they can acknowledge that they feel used or unloved or blah, 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 blah. But they are inherently, unfortunately, study-wise, I'm not saying that it's true, but study-wise, more married to the picture of togetherness, and they will put up with a lot more in order to keep that picture alive. And a lot of times when somebody finally comes in and breaks that reality, it's not that she didn't know. It's almost like a freeing, like, someone finally saw my facade. I can almost free myself, right? So a lot of guys who may have partners that they know are kind of in that realm of like about to pop, of like, you know, they're saying yeah that this is what they agreed to, but they really just love this man and they're saying yes because they love this man and they're dedicated to him. As soon as that bubble is popped, they know that woman is gone. You know, so that's why they're gonna hide him away, keep him away, the manipulation, the baby, you know, as she said, one of the young ladies said, this is him on camera. When he's with me, he's a completely different person. That's why I love him, you know, and that's probably when he's, you know, kissing hands and baby, you know, I love you. This just, you know, I would never, you know, whatever it is. All right, baby, you know, you're gonna keep your picture, right? But then when that reality hits, it's like you said all of my hurtful thoughts that I've had about our relationship out loud. That facade is broken, and it's just like, so what felt like just a bad thought or me not believing in my relationship, if someone else can see it, that means it's not fake anymore. You know, it's not a I gotta try harder anymore, or you know, I'm not being a team player anymore. If this random man from England can come in and be like, so you're okay with him having multiple partners, but you can't, and you want to get married and he doesn't want to get married, you don't think that you guys are incompatible? Oh shit, you know.
Yeah.
Bubble popped.
And at the same time, it's like, it's easy to dismiss a lot of comments online and call it whatever, trolling, bots, but like you said, it just take one person.
That's why I said it's the
real life, right?
The online thing we all could view as trolls, no matter how true it is. Somebody could be, you could have a green monster behind you, and I could type there's a green monster behind you. You could be like, girl, what the hell are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? But if somebody in the room with you says, nigga, there's a green monster behind you, you gonna turn over your shoulder like, where? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's something that is so that human conversation to conversation, person face to face, that sets that dissipates the, oh, these are just trolls and online haters and stuff like that. And I think that his name is Luis, right?
Yeah.
Understood that, you know, and he met a lot of those people on a face-to-face level, and yeah, it busted up the shit, it as it always will. Even like,
it really did. Well, I just want to add on to that, like, it really like, that was very telling. That I never heard none of these people, but apparently they huge. They got enough money from all these people selling whatever they doing. But I'm just like, him being there really disrupted their spirit, as the black folks say.
Him calling it out every time, that was what I loved. Him going, I'm sensing a different vibe today. Like, I feel it's a little tense, because usually people
are
say
we
that.
good?
People saying a
Are
lot
we
of
good?
the quiet parts out loud. Are we okay? Are you and I? Oh, are we Gucci? And you know alone what? Is like, you can read me too good. Like, I'm uncomfortable, and you showing that I'm uncomfortable by acknowledging that I'm uncomfortable. Like,
but on top of that, a lot of y'all personas is, I keep it real. I say whatever I want to say. I ain't scared of nothing. And y'all really like clammed up on somebody.
You saw the clasped tongues. The cat got every single tongue there, except that I will say, I also noticed that this guy didn't get an update at the end. The second guy that he interviewed, the Justin guy, he's like kind of like the Tate. His partners or friends are kind of like the Tate brothers or something. The redhead guy.
Oh, the Louisiana.
Where he actually met his family and kids and all that stuff like that. I think out of all the people he interviewed, that was the one guy that was like, he's saying stuff, but it's not like, you know, on the edge of tomorrow, like the What's the
I
guy?
believe him though.
The
I
South
believe
Asian
him
looking
though.
guy or Middle Eastern guy. What was his name? The
Oh, the Fresh and Fit. Yeah, I don't
Fresh
know
and
his name,
Fit. I
but
was
Fresh
like,
and Fit
hey,
is a huge.
yeah, this guy. And
Okay, actually,
that was the
let's.
one person's podcast I do remember seeing like a clip here or there on
Yeah,
TikTok. But like I said, it wasn't rhetoric that I really pertained to, so I just scroll right on up. But I was like, now seeing like some of the footage live in this documentary, I was like, yikes.
yeah. It's man. It's a lot of ways we take it, but let's go real quick. Just some thoughts on each one. So HS Tiki Taki. He was on the run from the U.S. from a potential thing, but he had his
Driving
mom.
recklessly.
He,
Yeah.
he was taking care of his mom. Yeah, they. I think they. I don't. No, I don't want to say if it's wrong, but I think they did have some footage of them beating up some people. But either way,
Yeah.
so
Some type of fight
he
broke out.
he's like the Islander, and he had some collaborate. The collaborations told a lot to me. Like
Yeah.
again, he had the first collaboration with the British guy who was on the red pill stuff, and I was like, dang, they in Europe taking this. Which again, maybe I
Oh
put them
yeah.
on too high a pedestal. I put us on too
They
low a
ain't over there
pedestal.
drinking tea and eating crumpets. They over
Bro
there
was
just
over
like
there
us.
tripping. And then he had the collaboration with the OnlyFans girl who was sleeping with a lot of people, and he was just
Yeah.
like, I would never want my daughter, and I think these girls are disgusting. But like,
They're just
you
yeah.
hiring all these girls to be in your
Mm-hmm.
videos to give you a certain image. So,
Yeah.
and then of course the whole thing with his mom. I don't want to juice. I don't want to do the juice. Like it was like so. HS
Yeah.
Itaki
There's
was.
two things. For that kid, I respected two things that he said. One, he said, I'm doing all this shit for clicks and to get money. I don't really believe this shit. He said it. When
He
people can at
admitted
least
it. He admitted it.
label
Yeah.
their truths, I can respect that. He was like, I'm doing this shit for clicks. Da 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 da. The second thing that he said that I can honor was, I'm not responsible for no kids watching me. Why aren't their parents watching what the fuck they're watching? You know what I mean? And that's a fact. You need to be monitoring your kids' content. You cannot uphold celebrities and online personalities for your children. You are the person who maintains what they have access to, So when he said that, I was like, facts. Because when Lewis was basically like, isn't your demographic mostly youth? And he said, that's not my damn fault. I ain't telling these kids to watch my shit.
But
And it's true.
at the same time, like I feel like that's an easy escape to be like I'm not responsible. Excuse me. Like whether you intended that or not, like that's what's happening. And so him and another person said that, but I'll be honest, I don't agree with that fully. Cause like, yeah, the
Yeah,
parents should play
I'm
a
partial a
role,
little bit
but
too, but I lean more into it. We know we cannot control everything that our children will see and do. They go to school, they got friends who got more liberties, than you could take everything away and they can be with their friend and their friend show them something. Like, I understand that we cannot control everything that they see, but at the end of the day, we are the ones who are responsible for what they have access to. It ain't no different from an overweight child. A parent being mad at a child is overweight, but that child don't have a job. That child has access to what you feed them. You see what I'm saying? It ain't no different with the media. You give that much access, they're going to see what the different things that they're going to see or believe in. YouTube, even on YouTube Kids and the videos that you see where people find out that people are making kid content and then throwing a random thing in there to show you how to hang yourself or commit suicide or blah, 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 blah. Yes, as a society, we do have a duty to, like, I hear you when you're saying, like, we should be mindful of the content that we are creating, but at the end of the day, there's always going to be content for kids, content for teenagers, content for adults, content, you know what I'm saying? blah, 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 blah. So that's why I am putting the onus back on the parents, because it is our job to try to monitor what our kids are having access to. So although I understand that we as content creators or people who make movies or whatever has a kind of a duty societally to not create inhumane things, but at the end of the day, they might have a right for the adult population who might be into that. And it is my job to make sure that my child is not having access to adult content. No different from porn, no different, you know what I'm saying, from gory or large blood or whatever, violent content is my job.
Yeah.
Well, we don't want to acknowledge that we created a generation of tablet users and cell phone users because it's convenient for us to be able to get that's the only time we can get our hour or two to ourselves, is when the kids or the teens are, you know, watching their phones or their tablets, and so we're not really giving what they're watching. But it's like, you have to also understand they might be taking in some rhetoric that they shouldn't be while they're doing that, and you're getting your little hour to relax and your me time or whatever it is. It's
and I think people against that would probably turn that same thought onto his mom and her responsibility for raising him, but that's another conversation we'll get to at the end. So moving on, we got the Louisiana dude, redhead, tight suit, all that.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm like, okay, you know, I love that it was like an initial interview and then he came back later, because Buddy was like, yeah, I got this, you know, penthouse and blah, blah, blah. Come back later. Yeah, we sold that. Yeah, we didn't, you know, I'm back home. So he clearly, to me, HS Tiki Taki was on this too. But the Louisiana guy, to me, seemed very focused in on this fake investment thing, which all of them did. But he was very heavily fake investment. I got big cars, nice suits. Like, I'm pretty much lying to you, invest in this company. And then, of course, he eventually let his wife talk. And it was just like, bro, like this one-way monogamous thing. I'll say this because I want to point this out. Like, because even with the Jack Harlow thing, we talked about this. Like, when people give you direct questions, they be like, oh, they hating, they trying to hit piece you. But when you don't say nothing direct, then they be like, oh, you're not really being a journalist. So Buddy was like, okay, you know, how would you describe your relationship? One-way monogamous. Can you define that for me? Oh, you trying to get me. Oh, you trying to, you know, bury me.
No, people
you said it. I'm just asking you to define
your definition of that. Yeah.
But in 2026, that's how they be like, oh, it's a hit piece. It's a hit piece. Like, bro, you said it. I'm just trying
to say, stand 10 toes down in the lifestyle that you chose. Why are you should be confident in that.
Right.
You and your partner chose that. You should be confident in that. I didn't understand that either. Like I said, I wanted to, the documentary, like I said, made my ass itch the whole time. So I had to try to find like one comment per person to make them human in my mind again. To just say, I said, we should find one thing to respect, even though all of this is making your ass itch. I think for this guy, I respected that he acknowledged that there are other levels of rich. He acknowledged that even though he's in a few inner circles, that he has, you know, goals to obtain to get to the status that he wants. So I think that that honesty I could have respected, where he was like, I ain't that rich. I might be this, but I ain't that. So even though he is out here, you know, scheming and scamming to make some money, you know, I can expect that he understands his place in whatever that is. But
but he also the same dude that was like, men built this country, women didn't build this country.
Don't remind me. Okay, I became an African booty scratcher, excuse my rhetoric, by that part. I was definitely scratching my ass. I'm sorry, guys. This analogy is terrible, but like literally, I was so done by that part. Can you name anything that we are using cameras and cell phones that have
anything a woman invented
that would not exist? GPS tracking and all of that by women. You're actively using the equipment to film yeah. By then, I was ready to chop his head off. Like, pull out the guillotine.
Yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge both sides of it.
Lay him leave him there. Like, I just was so done with it by then. Because I was like, there's no way that you're that thick-minded.
So, Fresh and Fit, buddy, to me, that was open and shut.
Trash. That was the one person I couldn't find anything. I tried.
I agree, but to me, he was an open and shut case because he was like trying to shield everybody from jump, and then of course he ended up breaking up with his anchor partner or whatever.
Yeah.
And she told you though, she was like, he not like that off camera, like you mentioned earlier. So he was the word. He was the fakest of them all.
Completely. And never acknowledged that he didn't believe in the rhetoric that he was spewing. That was for him, I couldn't find anything to make him human, to me again. Because you really were sticking to the lie of the rhetoric that you were living, knowing that you truly weren't living that. Because if you were, you wouldn't be scared. If your affairs and your house was in order, you wouldn't be scared about nobody talking to your business partners or your girlfriend or anything, because they would believe in the same rhetoric that you do. If y'all living 10 toes down in it. So his squirreliness and his constant trying to control, I was completely done with that cat. Like, I didn't want no parts with him. I took probably 6 or 7 breaks during his part. That's what made it. This documentary, guys, was an hour and a half, I believe, an hour and 31 minutes. It took me 3 hours and some change to watch it. I just had to keep taking breaks. I was so outdone.
Fresh and Fit was the only one that I had heard of. I had never seen anything they did, but I've heard of the podcast being problematic. So I was a little shocked that, he was a brown brother, but there was black people.
Yeah, but I don't put that type of stuff being popular. I don't put nothing past it, because I do know what we do know about this generation. They are struggling when it comes to the dating scene. So when you have a whole generation of men who feel like they don't really understand that they're women that they're trying to date or become partners with, and they're feeling like rejections at an all-time high, seeing a man on a podcast calling somebody a fat bitch and telling them to go home feels so good, because you can't, curse out all the women who may have rejected you or something like that. I feel like there's hurt people, and all the people who kind of feel like they're at that heightened dysfunction with the dating scene are their customer base. Who wouldn't in this dating world not want to get on and watch a video of a guy cussing women out and calling them hoes and telling them that their body count is this, that, and the third, because these are all the things that they can't say out loud, or these are other frustrations that they
to me, I don't know, because I'm not in this space, but to me, I'm gonna be honest, I kept thinking like, man, Kevin Samuels was the dad of y'all all, but they might have been before Kevin Samuels. I don't know, but Kevin Samuels was the first person that I saw, probably because he was black. Like
before Samuels, it was what was that like church guy, pastor guy with the wife that looked real homely, and he ended up cheating with somebody that looked like
but I feel like that was around the same time
as Kevin Samuels.
But either way, I was just like, it kept reminding me of what Kevin Samuels was doing, and Fresh and Fit took it to a whole nother level. They showed the ecosystem, and I think everybody showed the ecosystem of like, because HS Tiki Taki is just like, I don't respect these people like ill, these whores, whatever, but you continually employ them because their followership is going up, your notoriety and your image is going up.
Yeah.
So we work together. It reminded me of Boondocks. I kept telling everybody. It reminded me of Boondocks with Reverend Goodlove, where he was like, he got this conservative white girl, and after the cameras go off, Huey like, why y'all cool? He like, that's my homie. Like, if she needs something,
let's get this money together.
If she need an adversary, I'm here. If I need one, she here. Like, that's what it reminded me of.
Yes.
And so it's a whole, world of all that. But I was curious to it, and it might be just as simple as the money, but you can tell me. Do you think a guy like Fresh and Fit, he just like, how do you switch on and off between being like, I love you, honey?
Ain't no switch on and off. It's about the money, yeah, but all of that comes from real rejection. All of them had different levels of Napoleon syndrome. A couple of, those were people who were hurt by women in some capacity in their past life. Hurt by, controlled by, blah, blah, blah. We saw in real time that HS is like, oh, I'm just respecting my mom. She's telling me to do something. But we saw what type of personality she was. She was a sweetheart, but she was still nothing that you do is good enough. That was the undertone. I can do it better. Nothing that you do is good enough. Get out of the way.
Or don't fumble the bag.
Right. Yeah. So, of course, his outlook on women is a little skewed. He's been having a woman tell him his whole life that everything he do ain't good enough. Get the hell out of the way. I know for a fact that whatever it's called, Fresh and Fit, they definitely had to deal with some rejections and stuff like that. Just that when you think about true crime and the level of disdain that comes is often because of rejection. When you are willing to talk about, to say, name calling and stuff like that, to that degree, you have been hurt in your past life, or you've been rejected in your past life, and you're now projecting that pain onto whoever you can. And that's what I think is really going on. And, a lot of these guys, it might have happened in their teenage years when they're younger. Plenty of people have glow ups, and now they got their muscles now. They got a beard now. They got a nice haircut now. They didn't have all of that in their teenage years, or they didn't have all of that in their preteen years. And they got dogged. But that little kid is not healed. You see what I'm saying? That little kid who didn't heal and whose parents didn't recognize that they had a little bit of a problem became a full-grown adult who now looks pretty okay, or look decent, or feel like they got a little more power, or using their money, or whatever their leverage of status, and they are out here raging. You know what I'm saying? And raising hell in the best way possible. Like, that's what I saw with that documentary. It was a lot of hurt people. Yeah, for
sure. And then lastly was Sneeko. Never heard of him, but he got, I guess, the biggest following, and
to be kicked off all the platforms. That's crazy.
I didn't quite know how to put my finger on it. Like, to me, Sneeko felt like the most genuine, but at the same time, the most lost person of the group.
Yeah, like, they showed clips of him as early as 15.
Yeah,
in this practice. That is a fully indoctrinated being. When we talk about indoctrination and its ability to be a power source, he is a prime example of that. A kid coming in terms with the world, getting to know himself, seeing far out thoughts and ideas at that young of an age. He had these ideals before he could even vote. You know what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
skewing was already tainted and stuff like that. And people say, "Oh no, he's just a kid, or he's just this and that and the third." When you go back into past America and you go back into racial America, it wasn't just grown-ups out there doing all that stuff. It was little kids out there learning from their Meemaw and Pawpaw and them to spit on people, call people out their name, racial slurs, whatever. You can be indoctrinated into some bullshit. You could be enculturated into some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And
But
I think he was a prime example of that. Like,
I think what was interesting is that he didn't do, at least from what I in the documentary, he didn't do a whole lot of stock investments, financial, all that.
no,
He pushed a lot of conspiracy, but
he
when he was
believes what
talking
he
to him,
thinks. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. When he talked to him one on one, he might not believe everything he said, but he at his core believes there's like some people in power that's manipulating the masses.
That was
But
one human thing for me for him. So that was my one, like, how can I make this kid human in my eyes again? And it was just that he actually firmly believes in the stuff that he indoctrinated himself with. He really believes in MAGA. He really believes in the higher powers that be controlling and marionetting society. Like, you could see it in his fibers of his being that he really believes that stuff.
But I would also say, like, a lot of them, when kids came up to him and all that, he felt very uncomfortable, almost like, and I think he was one that said, like, bro, the parents shouldn't be letting them listen to this. So he felt very uncomfortable with like young teenagers, kids, whatever, being like,
but
hey,
you know why
my
he
hero.
felt uncomfortable? Because he was once that kid. That's a mirror glass self moment. You see what I'm saying? He knows that he was young and susceptible and fed into it. You know, he knows the power that he holds, but it's like a dagger in his own back. For him specifically, he knew he was that kid. We saw it. You were a 15-year-old online spewing whatever nonsense another adult told you, and you ran with it. You know what I mean? So it's hard to look yourself in the face. How can you?
But also, he got cut off from platforms for a while. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's when he realized, like, oh man, like, maybe I've been doing this for money? Because, like, HS Tiki Taki, he felt like the whole time he knew he was doing this for money. Right. But Sneeko, it felt like once he lost his platform, he really was like, oh shoot, like, what am I really doing this for? That's how I felt. I don't know if you felt that.
Yeah, I feel like he was the one, like I said, I feel like he was the prime example of indoctrination and having that moment of his Truman Show, you know, his ceiling being shattered and realizing, like, you know, you've been the puppet and you've been performing for so long. When your master finally say, all right, now you're free. Am I? You know, do I stay in the yard and keep on doing the thing, or do I, I feel like he had, but I don't think it was that deep though, because as soon as he got back allowed to be on a platform, he kicked up the shit again. So I don't know if he just reached his, like how Justin and HS and all of them knew it was just for money. Did he just reached his comfort of like, well, now I'm just saying it to make the money now? Mm-hmm. I don't know if once he returned, if he believes in his rhetoric as much as he did when he was younger. I couldn't tell. The documentary is not that long, so I don't know. Does he now still believe in his rhetoric, or is he just spewing it now because he knows he can make money? I don't know.
Yeah. It was an interesting watch.
It was insufferable.
It was tough. It was something to say, but at the end of the day, I mean, we go a lot of ways, but just, I guess, to summarize, not even summarize, but biggest takeaway, was it, or I'll say this, was your biggest takeaway about women or was it about men? And what was the takeaway?
No, I think my biggest takeaway was a very societal one. It showed how much we in like I said, I already said the term earlier in sociology, we call it the mirror glass self, the looking glass self.
Mm-hmm.
And that terminology and ideology basically says that we rely on the society and the communities around us to verify who we are. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we don't believe we're a dancer or a basketball player or a banker or this or that until people acknowledge that we are these things. We kind of rely on each other to confirm our identities, right? And so I think that this was just a perfect example of that. The over reliance on how we can be over reliant on society telling us who we are or what we deserve or, you know, who we should be. And how far we're willing to go, in order to maintain whatever identity it is that we're trying to portray. Yeah.
No, that's real.
Mm-hmm.
That is real. It didn't really get into a lot of the history of all the things, but yeah, they all at least talked about a lot of ideologies that are very old school, and they didn't dive into that too much, but it definitely was like their
It was
I
definitely
guess
white picket fence ideology. You
in
know, let's go back to the
essence,
good old days where women weren't in the
yeah.
workforce and the man was earning the money and providing and, you know, blah, blah, blah.
That's a good way to say it. The good old days. There's a lot of studies that show the up and coming generation of white men, young
Mm-hmm.
white males, are very much into the good old days, and that's part
Yeah.
of it.
Because
So,
they're the first generation who's not experiencing upward mobility like their forefathers. They're the first generation. There's a couple with this up and coming generation. This is Gen Alpha, and
mm,
um, and younger Gen Z. They
yeah,
are the first generation to not have the same critical thinking skills. We are seeing a generation for the first time that's not smarter than their generation before them. You have this generation who's very unsure of their identity, and even though they have access to all sorts of information right at their hands, the ability to use and critically understand it is just not there. And so we go back to this kind of barbaric baseline. You know, when did I have power? When did people who look like me have power? And that's what you then crave. Um, when you have a society where you're seeing women excel in upward mobility, and a society where, you know, you feel like there's not enough space. Well, if we just took them out of the workforce, then men wouldn't have to compete as much, and, or, you know, so
hmm,
whatever it is. So like,
or
let's go back to
immigrants.
the,
Yeah.
you know, immigrants, women, whoever the population of target is, black people. There's always somebody there's always somebody else that people like to target as the person who's killing their dream, you know.
Hmm.
And for white men specifically, who are supposed to be able to get every piece of pie possible, when they don't succeed, you're already above everybody. You can't blame black people. You got more power than them. You know what I'm saying? You can't blame. There's no one that is in the way of white men other than white women in their upward mobility. So that's where this rhetoric lives and lies. Let's get them back out of the way so that more of us are excelling. You know what I mean? So that's their target, because they're above everybody else as far as society is concerned. They're going to get more loans and be able to buy more cars and buy more houses and blah, 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 you know, what have you, as is. But when it comes to like education, upward mobility, and who's making money and who's executives, the only people in their way is their women. So now, yeah, our rhetoric is going to be, let's go back to the good old days. Let's get them out of the way too. You know, they're the only person in our way.
Yeah. And also other white men, which is a conversation down the line, but like we talked about earlier, connecting it to the Jewish, it's like, you know, white is white, but okay, what type of white? You know, and we'll get there. But like,
we're slowly getting there. It's like society is just moving backwards. We're slowly starting to see white supremacy not get dismantled, but it's like it's crumbling on the inside, and we're starting to see the internal fighting of people clicking up again. And I've never seen people so proud of like the amount of DNA tests and everything that's been taken in their community specifically, to like have some type of ancestral pride, or like they're trying to literally reestablish what version of white they are, because they feel this like dissonance of society slipping into people moving back into their smaller cliques. It's not just a all of us thing anymore. It's moving back into a Irish thing, and an Italian thing, and a Russian thing, and a Jewish thing, and a, you know what I'm saying? So everybody's kind of dismantling, okay, this empire is falling a little bit. Who are we going to have to rely on? You know, let's go back to the OG triple. So I think that we're seeing the dismantling of I won't say white supremacy because they kind of got that online, but like the identifying of what, like you said, what versions internally they're dividing. They might still have the same agenda, and they might still go and smile in each other's face and shake hands, but internally they're dividing.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, we hit on a lot of stuff. I was gonna do I don't know. I was gonna do a whole nother thing, but what I think I wanna land on a blind rating.
Oh Lord.